Let's look at Vedanta and its possibilities. It's a compound word, Veda and Anta, Vedanta. Veda is knowledge. It's not just meant books. There are the 4 books. The word Vedas comes from the root vid, to know. So what is that? It's a knowledge of supersensuous realities. It's a knowledge of God. It's a knowledge of existence. And it's not a closed book. It's not that God a few thousand years ago said something and he went to sleep. The Vedas are a continuous revelation. The truth or existence or reality is revealing itself to us at every moment. So the books, technically, there was a huge corpus of literature which was collected, collated and edited by a great sage called Vyasa. It means a compiler or an editor. And he was called the Veda Vyasa, the compiler of the Vedas. And he brought it out into 4 books. So the earliest book of humanity is the Rig Veda. These guys never built pyramids and all these things. They built spiritual pyramids. So this Veda is actually the religion of the Vedas, of the Hindus and of the humanity. It's not for a certain class of people or place or culture. So these supersensuous truths were intuited by a long line of sages over the millennia. And it wasn't a closed system, like I said. It was always open to reaching out to newer grounds, because the grounds always change externally. So these sages came and reinterpreted those fundamentals according to the times. So Vedanta has 3 main schools: dualism, qualified non-dualism and non-dualism, what we call as Advaita Vedanta. And that is the popular philosophy that is actually here in the West spoken about. When people say Vedanta, it means Advaita with Advaita, not 2. They never say 1. They negate even the idea of 1. Say it's not 2. So it forms also one of the 6 systems of orthodox philosophies. And it's one of the most influential also. And it's the most difficult also, obviously. There are the orthodox systems of philosophy and the unorthodox systems of philosophy. Okay. So Veda and Anta, the end portions, technically the first portion is the ritual portion and the second is the knowledge portion. That is, the rituals were internalized and they became part of this knowledge. It's also called the Upanishads, a mass of literature speaking about supersensuous truths in mystical language. Veda Anta, it also means the fulfillment of the Vedas. Fulfillment of what? Of knowledge. Knowledge should be able to liberate you. If knowledge binds you, that's ignorance. So the fulfillment, the end, the culmination of the Vedas is Vedanta. It can also be called Anta, the edge. It can be called the cutting edge of knowledge. supersensuous knowledge, of course. One of the systematizer of this philosophy was Shankaracharya. And just a brief mention about him. He was one of the greatest man that was ever born. The greatest. He was born in 788 Common Era, 8th century. He lived for about 32 years. And he has written more than 200 works. More than 300 are attributed to him. He remolded not only philosophy, but the culture, the history, the science of religion. Today, what we have as Hinduism is his doings. He systematized every aspect of religion. He was a child genius. He had mastered the Vedas when he was 6 or 7. He was born in Kerala, in Kaladi. That's a beautiful place. And he became a monk when he was 8 years old. Yeah, we won't get distracted now. But he went in search of his guru. He got his guru, and his guru was waiting for this young, brilliant, you can see, reformer. He traveled 3 times the length and breadth of India, debating the Buddhist, principally the Buddhist, because Buddhism by that time had begun to crumble because of the entry of the practice of tantras. So the whole structure was going to crumble. He pushed it, let it crumble, and built a new structure. Every time you read about him, doesn't stop being amazed. By the time he was 14, 15, he had completed writing all his commentaries on the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. Oh my God, amazing. Swamiji says, in Shankaracharya, we saw a tremendous intellectual power, throwing the scorching light of reason upon everything. Like I said, there was no compare. He was brilliant. Even today, when you try to study his works, it takes years and years. I've struggled for more than 14 years to understand, and I cannot say, I understand. So that was Shankaracharya, the founder of this school of Vedanta. He systematized, he wrote commentaries on all the major, the scriptures. And reading about it, one thing is clear. What is touted around Vedanta as nihilism, philosophical nihilism. This world is can be dismissed as an illusion, and it's dreamlike and all that. That was not the original intent, not the intent of Advaita Vedanta at all. Swamiji clarifies it. It's a deification of life and the world. That's what Vedanta is. And people say the whole world is illusory. That is, except the person who says it. That's a very, you can say, selfish idea of illusion. So the possibilities are immense. Swamiji had predicted that this philosophy and religion will be the future religion of philosophy of humanity. Why isn't it happening? It is. We'll go through some of the salient parts of what's happening. But Vedanta, everybody reads a little and says, I'm a Vedantist. That's a good thing, of course, but it needs a tremendous level of intellectual, moral, emotional sophistication, spiritual, of course. Not talking about just ordinary knowledge. And this philosophy is a way anticipatory of the things to come. We have been shaped by a long process of evolution. Millions and millions and millions of years it has taken us to come today what we are. We need to go even higher than this. The biological, you can say, coordinates are found now for us and for the universe, that all life has sprung from one source, that we share our genetic code with all life. This massive universe out there expanding into space is also a part of us, because that very materials that are there out there are in here. So we are finding our coordinates here, biologically and philosophically, as well as physically also. So this long evolution, massive, how much? 3.5 billion years. Yeah, it has been, and we are growing slowly higher and higher. And this is an exciting time for humanity, because of we are finding ourselves here in this place and time. And this is the great story that's unfolding. This is the unfolding story of Vedanta. Don't think that Vedanta is a system that I need to study outside of me. I need to go through the books, and if I want to get into even deeper into it, I need to learn the language, the Sanskrit, and then, oh my God. No, it is the science of the soul. Each and every one has Vedanta in their souls. It is the study of oneself. So we don't need the books, you need to study yourself. And then harmonize your past, present, and the future, thoughts, words, and actions. So it is an internal science, and that is one of the fundamental things in Indian philosophy. Like I mentioned a couple of days, you will not find any meaning outside, externally. You will find it inside here. So the conditions are ripe for Vedanta, almost ripe for Vedanta. Why? I'll enumerate a few of the conditions. First is, individual and social problems have become very acute. No amount of palliative care is taking things, the troubles away from us. Vedanta will be that strong medicine for that. As a species, we have been brave. The very fact that we are here alive and together means that our ancestors had struggled and survived all the travails that nature could throw at it. And we should be glad that we are here and acknowledge all their struggles and pains. It has been a long story. That spirit of adventure, that bravery, needs to be expanded. And as a species, we have what it takes to be Vedantist. At the same time, we don't like things that are dark, mystical, shady, kind of, nebulous. We want something that's clear, straight, and light. That is what Vedanta is bringing to. Nothing esoteric about it. It's open to everybody. As I said, Swami Vivekananda said, if the science of oneself, then everybody is eligible for it. In the old days, eligibility was a very difficult, you can say, thing to become eligible to study the Vedanta. It was meant only for the specialist monks and the pandits who could devote their time diligently for the study. Right now, no, it's open for, if it is your nature, you've got to know about it. We are in the process of also, with this rise of technology and knowledge is spreading away, we are in the process of building in the future a new type of civilization. Neither Eastern nor Western, nor Northern nor Southern. It's going to be a humanity. These nationalistic boundaries and racial boundaries and cultural boundaries will be there, but they will be superseded by something essentially human. And we are going towards that. So this rise of knowledge everywhere, you can see the explosion, is threatening institutionalized religions. And the more they are threatened, the more they harden their stance. Vedanta says you don't have to join any institution or become an institutionalized person professing a certain faith. Have faith in yourself. And you don't have to go to this church and that synagogue and that mosque and this temple. Religion is within you. So the more religions, institutionalized religions are threatened, the more dogmatic, the more fanatical they become. And we have seen this for the last 2,000 years of human history. It has religion, instead of becoming a cohesive force for all, it has become a cohesive force only for a few, with constant friction with the others. It has become more dangerous now than ever before. So these are the ground conditions, sir. We are also fortunate that after such a long time in our history of the species and the history of also evolution, we are now participants with nature. We are tinkering with genes, we are fabricating new materials, nano, pico, this, that, medicines, everywhere. We are changing the universe outside. Everything you see outside is man-made. Yes, everything, almost everything, of course. Yeah. So this has given a tremendous sense of responsibility in our hands. Either we take it and make something better or destroy everything. Our responsibility is not only to the human race, but also to the environment, also to all the species. So long we were slaves of nature, and now we are participants with nature, refashioning, redesigning, retailoring things. Yes, how more exciting can this be? But the sense of responsibility, personal and social, hasn't yet dawned on us yet. Because we have not understood our own powers. And that's what Vedanta has been harping. Swami Vivekananda says, all the power is within you. You can make yourself. So when you look at this great tree of life, oh my God, it is a tree, it's composite, it's one. Everything exists on that tree of life. So these various knowledges, whether you call it physics, biology, and psychology, and this and that, each one is trying to vie with each other, compete with each other, that they are the exclusive knowers of what is real. You ask a physicist and say, we know, we go down to the very fundamental. You ask a biologist, you ask a psychologist, or you ask, you can say any kind of science, any type of knowledge. Even those guys who are activists out there shouting, they say, we have the solution to everything. No, listen to us. And everybody is saying, listen to us, we have the solutions. Nobody has a solution. Because we are still trying to understand it in limited terms, the reality in limited terms. But of course, there are people who are finding the underlying connections between all branches of knowledge. It has to be, because it is the tree of life. Every branch of knowledge is connected with every other branch of knowledge. It has to be in its fundamentals. Yet, like the old ideas of religion, my religion and your religion and his religion, her religion. No. There was one religion, there is one religion. There is one science, or one rise of knowledge. We don't see the connections. Why can't we? We've already found the connections between all life. Everything that is living shares that same genetic code which is there in me and with you, with all of us. So this idea of, you can say, connection is sometimes marred by our own selfishness. So this stultifies our progress. Vedanta says, do away with that and you'll be fine. So one of the fields where all the sciences are converging is consciousness. And the physicist and the chemist and the biologist and this and that and psychology, everyone is trying to understand consciousness. And here they are all arriving in trying to unravel the mystery of the consciousness. This is what Vedanta first took as its challenge. And they found various levels of this consciousness. That's the reason why Vedanta's possibilities here are great. Now you will say, okay, we have understood this. Now Vedanta, I have read this Vedanta a little, and then what should I do now? Swami Vivekananda is very clear. He is saying, this Vedanta was practical or experiential first, and then philosophical next. So in many cases, a person has a philosophy and then gets some kind of realization or experience, Vedanta says no. It is based on experience. Well, whose experience? The human experience. It cannot be, oh, that's the tiger's experience. No. It is human experience. And as we've seen, the very best parts of the Vedanta, which we find in the Upanishads, were thought out by not only sages, but by kings. I mean, they were sage kings. They had a whole kingdom to rule, and yet they found time to develop these thoughts. And see, for us, I don't have time. This is my mantra, this is everybody's mantra in today's world. I don't have time. I don't have time. Oh my God. We keep on repeating to ourselves. And that's good, because Vedanta says, yeah, then this is the right time for you to study Vedanta. And later on, when we come to the Bhagavad Gita, where Sri Krishna teaches the Vedanta to Arjuna, where? On the battlefield. Can you imagine in a worse place than this? You're teaching something, these sublime truths on the battlefield? They were together for decades. They could have discussed it there. It's in the time of these tremendous physical and mental crises that we need this Vedanta. And that's why it was spoken out there in the din and bustle of war. So, where is Vedanta? Is here? Oh, that's a Vedanta society there. But that's another Vedanta society there. Oh, it's nothing like that. You don't have to worry about that. But where is it? Is it in the sky? It's in the heaven? No. Vedanta teaches a philosophy, the truth, which is known. It is not an unknown reality that it preaches. It is really more than known. To know myself or to know the world or know this podium, I have to know it in and through my own Atman, my own self. If I can get this, I will be a true Vedantin. I have to know everything through my self, with the capital S, of course, not the small s. So it is abstruse? No. It is living, palpable. It is known to you and to me. This is the best known. What else do you know? Can you know everything about the atom? Nobody can ever say, I know everything. Do you know anything about the grain of sand or a drop of water? You can never say that I have come to the end of knowledge of the drop of water or a grain of sand. You will find that drop of water or the grain of sand linked to everything in this universe. And that's what Vedanta says. When you know one lump of clay, you know all the clay in the universe. So that was in the Upanishads. I won't go into the Sanskrit, of course. So it is not an unknown reality that is being taught. You know your own self the best. Start from there. There are two tendencies in human minds, kind of, in a way, when we talk about religion or we talk about any kind of thing, or spirituality for that. One is to harmonize that ideal with your present life. but that is compromising. That is lowering down the ideal, the truth, down to the mundane level. Vedanta says you have to raise your life to that ideal. This is the fundamental difference. I was seeing the other day, God came in my bedroom, one man is saying, and he spoke to me. You could find any other place. You have to raise your life to the ideal, not bring the ideal down to your level, because that will not be an ideal anymore. At the same time, it does not preach an impossible ideal, because it is you, and you are supposed to raise yourself up. Like, oh, this is very practical. Yeah, it's practical in the sense of what we can do, not what you are doing. Yeah, I'm a shoemaker. That's the practical thing in my life. I'm doing shoes. That's not that idea of practicality. The idea of practicality is that in the sense of the ideal, it can be brought into being by your own self. How do we start? Start by plunging into yourself, and you need to have sufficient trust in yourself and faith in yourself. The old religion said, he is an atheist who does not believe in a God. The new religion says, Vedanta says, he is an atheist who does not believe in himself. We need to have that. I don't believe in a God. Good. Do you believe in yourself? Yeah, in a sort of way. Believe in yourself. That is the starting point. The world will keep on talking and you'll get distracted. Don't get distracted. All the powers of the universe are within yourself. Everything is within yourself. They are lurking behind in this frame of mind? Yes. And this is what Vedanta is saying. It's going to change the individual and society as a whole. Every time you go out, you are told how stupid you are, how foolish you are, how ignorant you are, how small you are. The world is full of criticism. Vedanta takes the opposite stand. All the powers are within you. That's the Upanishad also says. Atmane vindate viryam. Through the Atman comes tremendous power. We also tend to think about a past, reminisce about a past. We are living more in our past, and we are either living there or imagining the future, projecting, imagining. You got to live in the present. That is what Vedanta says. Then Vedanta says, now don't blame others for what has happened to you. Stop it. Either you blame yourself or you blame the whole world or something like that. All. Don't lay the blame on anything, circumstance. I am the victim of circumstance. Really? You go, right now there's a war going out in between Russia and Ukraine. Try to stand up there and say, I'm the victim of circumstance. Are they saying that? They are fighting. And that is what you've got to do. Fight. Push back. Instead of moping, oh, I've kind I was there because of this, because of that. Because Swami Vivekananda says, if matter is powerful, you can see it in hydrogen bombs. Thought is even more powerful. We have not understood this principle. And if we can, it will transform us. There are two forces that guide the interaction of people everywhere: the I and the not I. The us's, as a professor of Stanford says, and them's. So both these forces are constantly molding and remolding our actions, our thoughts, and our words, and everything around. The I and the not I. Selfishness and unselfishness. But Swami Vivekananda says Vedanta does not like to have too many things, too many factors play. They like to say it's one factor. It's love. This love, when it is narrowed, becomes I. When it is expanded, becomes this not I, you. It's the same one principle. And that principle is there in each and every one of us. So what do? Expand yourself. Expand yourself, and then you start growing. That's what actually happens. So when you come down to the philosophical parts of this implication, we see people, religion has been using, and it's rich in symbology. And you need further symbology to explain the first symbology, and then you need commentaries and this and that to explain things. And in the meantime, the simple truth has become completely, you can say, covered by explanations. So Vivekananda says, the truth that is preaches is a known truth. So he will say, take this, you can say, sun or the triangle or these various symbols here, right, arranging down there. These are all symbols. So whose symbols? We have created all these symbols. Why do we need to create symbols when you already have symbols? The whole universe is God. Humanity here is that divine shining forth. Because I was talking about, it's a divinization of life and the world. It is here. Why do you want to cover it up with symbols and commentaries and meanings and books and the works? So it is preaching a known God here. This is the greatest symbol. Why do you have to build the Holy of Holies and say God dwells in that? And you neglect the person in whom truth dwells. So this is the greatest symbol. The human body, the human mind is the greatest symbol of God. Why don't we worship here? So Vedanta preaches an impersonal reality. But when you speak about impersonal, it means everything from God, Ishvara, to the blade of grass are all combined into that one reality. When Vedanta says, this is the qualified reality and the unqualified reality. It means all personalities from a blade of grass to God, the personal God whom we pray to, are all included in the impersonality of God. Because that is what, if truth is relevant for this time, you mean it's not going to be relevant for some other time? We are not going to say, only this religion or this person spoke the truth. Didn't anyone else speak the truth? Isn't God speaking through you, through your actions now? Yeah, God is. But where is that God? As I say, there's a tremendous level of understanding that we need to come to. So either we struggle to come to this level, or nature will take you down. Nature has been evolving us up till this point. She will keep on. Let go. Nature will push you up to that level of sophistication. And that is the goal of the entire creation, not only human beings. We shouldn't be selfish and say. The entire creation is going towards Vedanta. We are in a hurry. I don't want to wait for everyone else. I'll start quickly. So the old idea of Vedanta was going in a cave or in a forest and meditation and this and that. No, it's here. And that's what Swami Vivekananda says. I want to bring that exclusive Vedanta, which was meant only for a few, and scatter it broadcast over the world. So we are heirs to this great knowledge of ourselves. Every limited idea, every idea that is trying to divide us will be rejected. You see it in time. Only knowledge unifies. Ignorance divides. And that division brings in strife. So this idea of oneness also removes of all ideas of contempt for others. If you can see things in that spirit, you will see what a wonderful thing. Every person, every living creature that's alive is a palpable reality. What could be more better than this? So, in conclusions, Swami Vivekananda says, Vedanta arose to meet challenges for thousands of years. Every time there was a crisis, every time there was some challenge, Vedanta has emerged. Long before the Buddha, this Vedanta reached far and wide. Then Buddha again came and revived the Vedanta. And then as new challenges came, then came Shankaracharya with this tremendous spirituality. Yeah, there's a movie, Shankaracharya. If you're interested, you go to it with subtitles. And now, this is one of the times when the challenges thrown to Vedanta have been answered by Swami Vivekananda. Not challenges, not only to Vedanta, but to humanity. We are challenged at every step of the way. Everything is a kind of a struggle, and we need to have a philosophy that will counter, that will make your struggles meaningful. So that's the reason why Vedanta was spread by Swami Vivekananda in this age for all of us. So when we struggle, like Nietzsche says, Friedrich Nietzsche, the things that are hard and gives us the most pain are the most rewarding. It makes us tough. Don't run away from anything. Don't run away from struggles or from anything. Stand up and fight. Like the Vedanta was preached on the battlefield to Arjuna, stand up. So he says, he had kind of collapsed. Arjuna had collapsed on his chariot. Stand up and fight. You're a coward otherwise. So he stood up and fought. We need this kind of lesson. It tells you that you are divine and you have to manifest that divinity. Swami Vivekananda, towards his end, he tells his brother disciple, Swami Turiyananda, who for many years lived in San Francisco and Los Angeles and even New York, saying, Haribhai, I've opened a new path to liberation. See, sometimes Swami Vivekananda, he dispensed with his human side and brought out his prophetic side up. I've opened a new path for everybody. So this is the path, and this is the Vedanta. These are the possibilities. It's going to change everything. And it's going to be there. The best parts were thought of thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It is called the Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of Brahman. In fact, there is a in some cases, there are some thoughts like God incarnates over and over again. People say, you guys have a lot of incarnations. Yeah, you know why? To protect this knowledge of Brahman, Brahma Vidya. And for this, millions and millions of sages have nurtured, cultivated, protected, expanded, and spread this knowledge. We sometimes have to pray to all the teachers, and some of the teachers, this is the very ancient tradition, and it has now come down to us so that we can do something about it. It will always be there to help us. It has been helping humanity for these thousands and thousands of years. 5,000, 6,000, who knows? It has been protected, and here it has been gifted to you. Now this Vedanta which has been gifted to you, what will you do with it? It's the most precious thing. It's going to change everything. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Shanti, shanti, shanti. Hari Om. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.